Within the last 24 hours, the police body cam footage, or at least some of it, in the horrific thing that happened with Henry Nowak down in Southampton, that some of that has been released, and a lot of people are commenting on this and noticing the extreme difference between the way that brown people and white people are being treated. It seems to be an unwritten rule among the police that you believe what the brown person is telling you, as in somebody has done a racism, but you don't believe what the white person is saying. I've been stabbed, I can't breathe. And the thing that comes to mind for me, I want to try to figure out where this is coming from. Why is the situation like this? And I think a lot of it comes down to critical race theory and DEI and political correctness, and the way that people within our institutions, including the police and the universities, the way people are trained. And I've experienced this myself, where I've had to go through so-called unconscious bias training, and that's seems to be some kind of overreach or an over correction for perceived racism in the past, coming from white people, Europeans, directed towards brown and black people. And while there may well have been a lot of such racial prejudice in the past, it does seem pretty obvious. You know, I grew up in the 70s, 80s and 90s, and it really wasn't a thing. But by the time I went to university in the late 90s, I started to notice political correctness, is what it was sort of called at the time. And it was kind of subtle, especially when it came to recognizing race. But that's, you know, with critical race theory and all of these things, it's sort of gone onto steroids. And there seems to be, as Douglas Murray pointed out some years ago in his writings, it's as if the societal perception of racism reached an equilibrium, but then it overshot, like the train arriving at the stations and not stopping and smashing through the buffers. And now there is a bias against European people, and it's infiltrated the institutions and the training. And what happened to poor Henry Nowak is an example in terms of who the police believed when they were hearing, rather than approaching the situation in an unbiased way. Sorry, there's a lot of midges here. Rather than approaching the situation in an unbiased way and trying to actually figure out what happened, they automatically assume that, well, a racist accusation, that takes priority over a stabbing accusation. And that's just nuts. Absolute madness. So our society, our institutions, we need to purge DEI from all our institutions, and it needs to be recognized. It needs to have a spotlight shone on it. And it's also that so many of these things are connected. Elon Musk describes it as the woke mind virus, And I think he's definitely onto something. And there is, of course, a weird alliance between the woke mind virus and what some of us would describe as the Islamic mind virus, or the radical Islamic mind virus. I'm not wanting to cast aspersions onto all Muslims. That would be unfair and inaccurate, but there are certainly many among them in the Islamic world who are very opposed to Europeans and the Jews. It's anti-Semitic, and it's weird. It's almost as if that's one of the only things that some of the woke brigade and some of the Islamic brigade have in common is anti-Semitism. So the whole thing's a bloody mess. And yeah, we just need to recognize as best we can what's going on and take steps to remedy the situation. And one of them is just to not be afraid of the false accusations of racism and Islamophobia and all of these things, and parse the things out, recognize what the accusation is and how they are false. And some of the accusations might hold validity, but I think a lot of them don't. And the sad thing is that people are dying, people are getting stabbed, and that's really shit. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now.